I was surprised that instead of collecting Monica, she took the three of us to the club room. I can't help but glance at the desk where my best friend would usually sit at.
Sit down, all of you. We need to have a serious discussion. We just heard that Monica was found dead this morning. It was suicide.
I can't believe Monica is gone. My emotions are in complete turmoil. Part of me is glad she's dead and hopes she's burning in hell for her crimes, but another part of me can't help but feel that she has more than paid the price for what she did and hopes she finds rest. How can I both hate and pity her like this at the exact same time? I suddenly realize I'm crying. Why am I crying? I don't want to cry. Am I crying for Monica? For my best friend? For myself? I don't know. I wipe away my tears. I'm so confused.
Do you know how it happened? I don't know everything myself, but apparently she shot herself in the head with a gun.
That would be pretty quick and painless.
It must have been an accident. Monica wouldn't. No. I'm sorry, but there's no question that she intentionally did this to herself. She left a note, which is one reason I brought you three here first before you heard any false rumors.
What did it say?
I'm sorry. What did who say?
You heard me right the first time. What did Monica's suicide note say? She sighs.
I don't have details. I was only told about it.
Even if true, I don't think she'd tell us what was in it if she knew.
But when I was told about it, I did ask if it mentions anything about her friends. I was told it was mostly ramblings to and blaming God. I was also told it did not specifically mention any of you or anyone else here at the school.
I'd expected her to let her to blame me for confronting her yesterday, not God. Strange, Monica never struck me as religious in any way. Even when she talked about her soul.
Well, we're getting a bit off topic. The main reason I brought you here is because I am very concerned for all your well-being. Suicide can sometimes spread in waves. It's why I suggested that all of you come talk to me if you felt the need after Sayori's death. But now that a second member of the Literature Club has killed himself, I'm forcing an intervention with all of you. But none of us would ever do that! Just a few minutes ago you said that Monica would never do something like this either. Depression, suicide, self-harm, these things can affect anyone, and sometimes it's not always obvious who is suffering. Monica successfully hid her intentions from me, and I was watching her for it. Watching all of you. I am not letting anything like this happen again if I can help it. Look on the bright side. At least you get to skip the rest of your classes today.
Great, I'm stuck with this quack and her fake cheeriness for the rest of the day. I know I should have never gotten out of bed this morning.
Normally, if we were one-on-one, I would start by having you talk about whatever comes to your mind. But as we're in a group setting, and all of you seem hesitant to want to talk about your feelings, we're going to try something a little different. Since you are the Literature Club, we're going to do a writing exercise instead.
Really? Writing and sharing poems is how this all started in the first place.
I want you to take some paper, something to write with, and put down anything on it, whatever comes to mind. Don't worry about spelling, grammar, or even if what you write doesn't make sense. Just write a stream of consciousness. I just ask that you be honest in what you write. When you feel that you're done, you can come up to me privately and we'll discuss it. You don't have to share with each other if you don't feel like it.
We all take some paper and sit down and I hold my pen above the paper and stop. I can't do it. I can't write anything. I know if I do, I will just end up writing a poem about my best friend, like I used to do. I know it's what the counselor wants out of me, but there's no way I am doing that for her. I always wrote with my best friend in mind. I wrote for her, to her. That's not something I can share with anyone, not anymore. I look around and see Yuri and Natsuki writing away. They're both hiding their faces, so I guess this isn't easy for them either. I catch the eye of the counselor, who gives me a questioning look.
Are you finished already?
I look down at the blank sheet of paper in front of me. Am I finished? Oh, I'm not done yet. I might think it'll help, but it could.
Okay, take all the time you need.
Now I'm back where I started. I can't write. I notice something on the floor near my desk. I lean over for a closer look. It's a box of crayons. I recognize it. It's the box that my best friend found on our adventure. Has it been down here this entire time? I reach down and pick it up. I just stare at them. My face twitches involuntarily for a second as I push back the tears. I'm getting better at that. A strange feeling that might be comfort comes over me. It's as if my best friend gave them to me just now. A stream of consciousness is what the quack wants. I set down my pen and open the box of crayons. They're all out of order. Of course they are. I take one out and start working. Natsuki finished first. I saw her bring one sheet of paper up to the counselor and talk to her quietly about it. I couldn't really hear what they were talked about, though I did hear Natsuki say something that sounded like Papa once. After she finished talking to the counselor, Natsuki went back to the closet. She started to reach for one of her manga, but then changed her mind and instead just sat down in the corner, lost in her own thoughts. Yuri finished next. She had multiple pages written out. She also took them to the counselor and talked quietly to her. Yuri was so quiet that I couldn't even hear her voice. Though, knowing Yuri, I suppose she may not have said anything and just let her writing speak for her. After the counselor talked with her a bit, Yuri returned to her desk and pulled out her book. I began to feel a bit self-conscious. I was the only one still working, and even if the others couldn't see what I was doing, it was obvious I only had a single piece of paper. I don't really want to do this assignment, but if I have to do it, I'm doing it my way. I'm done. I stand up. Instead of taking my paper up to the counselor, I take it to the back of the room and hang it up on the wall for everyone to see. It's a picture of the last time I saw my best friend. An image I can't get out of my head. I think I did a good job with my drawing, though the color of the dried blood on the ends of her fingertips isn't quite right. There, you happy now?
So it looks like Hallie has chosen to share with everyone. Hallie! That's a horror... Stop. We're here to help and support each other. Remember, Hallie is the one who found Saber's body. That is an extremely traumatizing experience. I would expect for it to be on his mind. And while I suspect he may have done it this way to try and shock us enough to avoid discussing it further...
Maybe she's smarter than I'd give her credit for.
I believe this picture is an open and honest look into his mind right now. So thank you for sharing. Now then, let's talk about this together.
The quack. That's the lunch bell. Man, I'm starving. A lie, but anything to avoid talking about this more. The counselor sighs.
Okay, go ahead and have lunch, but we'll continue this here afterwards.
The bell may have delayed the inevitable, but I'll take it. I quickly walk out the door while I can.
Hallie, wait. Natsuki and I usually eat lunch together alone. Would you care to join us today?
Go for it. Sounds good.
Great! Yuri and I know the best place in the school to eat lunch. Follow us!
I follow the girls to the broken stairwell. These stairs have been closed for repairs since forever, so no one comes back here. Not a bad spot if you're looking for someplace quiet. We all sit down together and on the stairs. The girls slowly eat their food in silence. Since I wasn't hungry, I hadn't brought a lunch and just watched them.
Do you want me to share with you? You don't seem to have anything to eat.
That's okay. I'm not really hungry.
But earlier you said you were. Oh, I should have realized. You know that you're going to have to talk to her about it after lunch anyways.
Unless I'm lucky and the Earth explodes before then.
Even though you started out by sharing with everyone, if you'd rather talk to the counselor in private after lunch, we understand. I wasn't able to share either.
It's not you. You're the closest friends I have left. I trust you more than anyone. It's just an open wound that I don't want anyone to poke at.
Was it really that bad?
At first I don't understand what she's asking.
Your picture! Was Siri really as bad as it looked in your picture?
No, it was worse. Much worse. I don't have to say it. As much as I don't want it to show, I can't hide the truth from my face.
I should have known, since the casket was closed. They only do that if they can't make the body look good enough for us to see. But you saw.
The girls eat in silence for some time, each of us lost in our own thoughts.
Do either of you ever think about doing it?
Is she asking us if we've ever considered...
The counselor said it can spread. I wouldn't think such a thing could happen, but Sayori, Monica, both within such a short time of each other. I struggle at making friends. The desire to change that is what brought me to the literature club in the first place. I've just lost 50% of my friends within 1 week. The thought of losing either of you terrifies me. So if you do think about it, promise me you'll talk to someone about it. For me, if for no other reason.
How can I say no to that?
Who do you think you're talking to? We may need to keep an eye on Hallie here, but you don't need to worry about me. Don't get me wrong, Sayori and Monica, it hurts to think about them being gone. But we've been friends long enough, you should know how tough I am.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have implied.
Hey, I get it, you're worried. You don't want to lose your only source for the best snacks in the world. Do you really think I'd do that to you? Deny you the honor of bearing tribute to the Cupcake Queen?
She stands up on the stairs and strikes a silly, majestic pose. As she does that, she accidentally kicks her bag, causing a manga volume to fall out and tumble to the floor. Reading the name on the cover, I see that it's... Oh my, that's a rather infamous series. I wouldn't have thought Natsuki was into that kind of thing.
Isn't the costume she's wearing a bit revealing?
I only read it for the baking recipes inside.
I calmly reach down, pick up the manga, and hand it to Natsuki. If you try it, remember that the recipe in Volume 4 calls for 2 dollops of cream.
How? You...
She glances towards Yuri.
I mean, of course. You think I'd make a mistake like that with a recipe?
Yuri giggles. It surprises me, but it sounds nice.
If you like that, you should read the fantasy series I just finished, Natsuki. It has a strawberry recipe in it.
I'm not certain what she means, but I don't think I'm ever going to look at strawberries the same way again.
You...
Natsuki seems stuck between saying you and Yuri. She breaks out of it with a chuckle.
Fine, but don't expect me to share the results.
I would much prefer you continue bringing your standard baked confections.
They're soon both laughing hard at the absurdity of the conversation. It feels good to see them laughing like this. I smile. The laughter ends with a bell as the girls pack up their lunch. However, as we leave, my mind can't help but think that Natsuki never actually promised Yuri. We make our way back to the clubroom together. I noticed that the counselor had taken down my picture.
Did you all enjoy your lunch? Ready to continue?
All four of set up some desks in a circle and sit down in them. I mean, of us. To my surprise, she doesn't immediately bring up the drawing, but instead asks us what we did during lunch. And eventually she manages to get us to talk about the conversation during lunch. The picture, of course, comes up from that, but it's not something we talk about for very long. We spend the rest of the afternoon just talking together about random stuff from our lives. I end up mentioning how I lost my mother to a heart attack a couple years ago, and how my father's job in the Navy often keeps him away on deployment. I was surprised to discover that is something I share with Natsuki. It turned out her mother died in a car accident when Natsuki was young, and her father works long hours at some sort of factory. Natsuki eventually brought up the fact that she had been riding in the car that killed her mother and seen the mangled body before she was rescued. It brought new light to her comment about closed casket funerals during lunch. Yuri talks about her struggles with social interaction, how she feels completely alone even in the middle of a crowded room, that while she does enjoy alone time, she doesn't always want to be alone, and often fears she will be alone forever.
Well, I guess that's it for today. Tomorrow you will attend your regular classes like usual. And again, if you ever feel the need to talk about anything, I'm always available.
We mutter some form of assent, collect our things, and leave. My thoughts and feelings are a complete jumble while walking home today. I still don't know how I feel about everything. My best friend, Monica, the counselors, talk, everything I learned about the girls. It's all just so overwhelming.
I'm sorry for everything. You know I want you to be happy.
Yeah, I know. So I made it through yet another day of school. Had I known what would have happened, I would have stayed in bed, but what's done is done. I open the drawer and pull out Yuri's knife. It really is quite beautiful. I think back on what the counselor said today. Your friends need you. Yuri and Natsuki are hurting too. As much as I miss my best friend and want to join her, I don't want to add to their pain. If I killed myself, they might follow like the counselor said. I may be worthless, but they make the world better just by being in it. Oop, I skipped a line by accident. I can't let anything happen to them. I need to stay here for them. I will stay here for them. I promise. So, absolutely no more considering that. I hide the knife away back in my drawer. I lie down on the bed and pretend I'm not thinking about it. It's the start of another week of school. The days since we learned about Monika's suicide have been rough. Monika's popularity and her suicide coming so close after Sayori's drew a lot of attention around school. I haven't talked to the counselor since then. I often see her in the hallways, probably to keep an eye on me, but she hasn't pulled me aside or scheduled an appointment. I think she's trying to avoid drawing attention to us with the other students. If so, her efforts are being wasted. Yuri, Natsuki, and I have been shunned by the other students since the news broke. Even some of the teachers are more distant now. The phrase, joining the literature club, is now a slang term for committing suicide at our school. The actual club itself has been in limbo since then. We haven't had any official meetings, but the three of us meet together at the stairwell for lunch every day now. We don't talk much, and when we do, it's just casual conversation. It's not much, but it's my main reason for getting out of bed. The girls are so sad and lonely these days. I know my being there makes them feel better, and I'm not taking that away from them. Just as I hope they don't take away their presence from me. My face twitches at the thought of one of them missing. That hasn't been happening as often recently. I stand in front of the mirror and begin practicing my smiling again.
You're late again.
I had trouble getting out of bed.
Just like I used to.
I often talk to my best friend these days, especially when walking to and from school like we used to do.
It still hurts too much to say my name, even in the privacy of your own thoughts.
I'm not crazy. I'm not hearing voices or anything. I know I'm really just talking to myself using her voice. But it lessens the pain and loneliness, just a little bit.
You may not be crazy, but it can't be healthy for you to talk to me like this. And you know I'm right, since we both know you're really just talking to yourself right now.
I know, you're right. I just miss you so much.
You didn't go to Monica's funeral yesterday.
I couldn't, not after what she did to you.
Do you really think I would want you to hate her? Monica had her demons like I had mine, and you have yours. If you can't forgive her, at least try not to hate her.
I haven't badmouthed her or even told the others what she told me the day before she killed herself.
That's something, I suppose.
I want so badly to reach out and hold your hand.
I know.
I'm at my locker getting my history books for my next class. I close my locker door. Wham! My head is smashed against the closed door of my locker from behind. I shake my head to clear my vision. What the hell? That's leaving a goose egg. And is that a new dent on my locker door? I look around in confusion. The hallway is extremely crowded and everyone is very pointedly avoiding making eye contact with me. I then notice one kid currently walking away look back at me and smirk. Is he the one that smashed my head into my locker? I recognize him from my math class, but we've never even said a word to each other before now. I don't even know his name. What did I ever do to him? Trying to avoid rubbing my forehead, I make my way to class before I'm late. When I arrive at the stairwell for lunch, I see Natsuki, but not Yuri. That's odd. Yuri's class before lunch is close by, so she's always been here before us. Where's Yuri?
I'm not certain. I haven't seen her yet today.
She's not here. He's quoted no one. Go away. She's dead. No, she isn't. Oh, okay, that's like a voice in his head, I guess. You're not a good enough friend. That's not true. Despite your best efforts, she couldn't stand the loneliness and isolation. No. So she killed herself, probably used one of her knives. Not Yuri, she'd never do that to us. The counselor warned you about this. She's probably just running late. I'm sure she'll be along any minute. Good. I managed to keep a perfectly straight face when I said that.
Yeah.
Sorry I'm late. I was desperate to use the bathroom. I hope I didn't worry either of you.
People have to pee. It happens all the time. Why would I be worried? So, what did you bring for lunch today?
Strawberries.
Yuri giggles. Natsu chuckles. I pretend to smile. That joke has been repeated so often the past week, I suspect we're all only pretending to enjoy it for the others' sake. But we need all the laughs we can get. We have so few these days. We spend the rest of the lunch period eating and reading in silence.
This is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, their presence is comforting.
I'm glad.
Lunch comes to an end all too soon. All so soon.